This is Prime Crime Network.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
And Jay, police are certainly hoping that money will talk in this situation. As you mentioned, there's a $5,000 reward currently being offered for information leading to the arrest of these two suspects who police say attacked a uniformed police officer inside a West Side gas station over the weekend. Now, it is a green light gas station, so the surveillance pictures, they are pretty clear. And again, police are hoping someone will recognize these two suspects and turn them in right away. Now, the situation all happened at the BP gas station near Joy in the Southfield right around 5:30 on Saturday night. According to investigators, that officer was on his way into work. He's actually on his way to do detail at the Taylor Swift concert at Ford Field when he stopped at that BP gas station and then was attacked inside. Those suspects at one point, they were able to wrestle the officer's gun away from him. He was able to get it back, though, during that fight. The chief says that the officer chose not to fire at the suspects when they were running from the scene because there were customers that were coming in and out of that store at the time. The chief over the weekend calling that officer a hero for those brave actions. Take a listen to a DPD commander who was out at that scene.
There's no way I can explain the mindset of someone who would do something like that, but the one thing I can explain is if they would do that to a uniformed police officer, can you imagine what they would do to a regular citizen?
And that is another reason why police are saying that these two suspects, that they should be considered armed and dangerous. At least one of them did appear to be armed with a 9mm Glock during that fight.
Prime Crime Network.
Exclusive.
This started 12:45 this morning when Houston police were called out to the Westerly apartments off of near Gessner and Clay Road. Now, we were told that there were reports of a woman with a gunshot wound to the face. Houston police, they have confirmed that the supposed shooter was an off-duty HPD officer who lives at that apartment complex. We're told that woman was taken to a local hospital in stable condition. Not life-threatening injuries is the latest that we've heard, but we haven't gotten an update on her condition since early this morning. In any officer-involved shooting, we do expect an independent investigation. We're expecting to hear from the DA's office, other investigators involved, but they have been there all morning up until, at least until when we left around 8 o'clock this morning, where there were officers investigating, combing that apartment complex, talking to witnesses. Again, a woman shot in the face by an off-duty HPD officer. That's as far as we know, but we are expected to get more information right here at HPD headquarters.
Prime Crime Network.
Exclusive.
A years-long ongoing dispute between neighbors in Southeast Houston turned deadly.
One of the neighbors shot the other neighbor. Unfortunately, the neighbor that was shot is deceased.
According to Houston police, the shooting happened just before 11 a.m. Sunday on Kirkland Drive. The shooter, identified by homicide detectives as Frankie Luke Vernagallo, shot his next-door neighbor in the chest, killing him. Family identified the victim as 39-year-old Jaime Leonel Hernandez.
I mean, we're trying to keep it together for my mom. You know, she's the one that's suffering the most.
Alberto Hernandez, the victim's brother, says the dispute between Vernagallo and his family started nearly 10 years ago. He says the shooting, however, started because his brother's dog got into Vernagallo's backyard.
You know, it's not a right way to react to any situation. You know, aggressive and having a gun and just shooting someone for wanting to get their dog.
We found out from officials Vernagallo was a former member of law enforcement. Hernandez claims Vernagallo has called the police on his family hundreds of times. We spoke with neighbors who tell us,
You know, it's not a right way to react to any situation. You know, aggressive and having a gun and just shooting someone for wanting to get their dog.
We found out from officials Vernagallo was a former member of law enforcement. Hernandez claims Vernagallo has called the police on his family hundreds of times. We spoke with neighbors who tell us they have seen police at both homes on several occasions.
I just want justice. I want them to finally do something. If this is what it had to take for them to actually do something, you know, it sucks for me and my family that my brother will no longer be here. with us. And that's what it took.
We're waiting on Vernagallo to make his initial court appearance when a judge will decide on bond.
First tonight, a
Crime Network
exclusive.
There's just no motive that could explain the behavior of the defendants.
The details are chilling.
On the night of the freeze in Houston, when pipes were bursting and power was out at the Fountainhead Bar off of Ella in 1960, our victim and other friends in the bar were attacked.
The culprits, Felix Valle and Ariel Cordoba, a couple who tried to convince the victim to pay for sex with Cordoba, but he refused.
They broke items on him, used a gun, shots were fired, and he sustained serious life-threatening injuries.
It was a prolonged attack that lasted more than 20 minutes before officials arrived and arrested the couple.
The bar stool was used because it was broken over the head of the victim as he's there unconscious on the floor. He was nearly kicked to death.
While the victim was unconscious, Valle, who has a lengthy violent criminal history, also sodomized him.
Sexual violence affects men too. 1 in 4 men in this country will experience contact sexual violence in their lifetime.
Trauma therapist Chow Wen says the residual effects of sexual violence are the same for men and women.
PTSD, anxiety, depression, withdrawal, isolation. So we need to talk about it and normalize these conversations.
We're told that attack was so brutal, the victim doesn't even remember it. Again, Valle, who is 38 years old, was given 82 years in prison for aggravated sexual assault.
Crime Network
Exclusive.
We got a child predator out here.
Neighbors and onlookers recorded the bloody aftermath. A man is severely beaten after allegedly sexually assaulting a teenager.
Protect y'all kids, man. Protect y'all kids.
Absolutely tragic. It really is. It is affecting a young life and a family, and it's going to definitely take time to heal.
Captain Rebecca McKay of the Detroit Police Department says officers took the suspect into custody Tuesday night.
I hope you get everything that you deserve.
And although police would not confirm it, neighbors who witnessed the beating and those in the video say the suspect knows the victim.
It's sad, and it just hurt me so bad. It broke me down that a man would do that.
Carmen Witherspoon saw the man beaten up after the alleged assault. She heard the commotion outside of her home in northwest Detroit Tuesday night and opened her front door to see the child rape suspect practically naked, surrounded by the victim's furious relatives.
They beat him over there real good. He was on the ground. He managed to get up, and he ran across the street, and he was on my property. He fell. He slipped and fell. And that's when they beat him some more.
He was bloody. It was nothing but blood. It was puddle on the ground.
From what I heard, they stomped his top lip off.
His mouth appeared to be very bloody, and it was just like he'd been in an MMA fight, almost.
Mark DeAndre, founder of 7 Mile Radio, provided Fox 2 with this video. The victim's relatives reportedly confronted the suspect after he allegedly raped the teen. They chased him around the neighborhood and dispensed their own form of justice before calling police once they caught up with him.
I'm not mad at the way that it happened, whether it be swift street justice or, through the court systems and the jail systems. I think that we need to raise awareness about this type of situation, because too often they get swept under the rug, and we have a lot of victims, both women, girls, and boys.
Sexual assault is a real thing. It occurs at all ages. I would just ask that parents, teachers, advisors, administrators, friends, family, just always keep your eyes open. Listen. If you see something, say something. Obviously report any suspected abuse to the Detroit Police Department.
And this suspect is no stranger to Detroit police. There was a warrant out for his arrest for a non-fatal shooting over on the city's east side.
Thank you for watching Crime Network, your source for urban and suburban and around the world news. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell. And check us out on PrimeCrimeNetwork.com.